Hello and welcome to Wellness. I'm Allie Young, your certified lifestyle and business coach. And today we're going to talk about 4 lifestyle changes that could literally help save your life. And how we're going to do that is to talk about my mother. My mother was an RN all of her life. She worked very hard and she worked several shifts. She would work mornings, evenings, and she would go in at midnight. And I would often think, how in the world could her body adjust to that? Particularly sleeping during the day when she worked the night shift. And then I would think, oh, it must be so stressful on her body. But one thing I really remember about my mother, and in the medical field for so many years, she took very few medications. She didn't really believe in a whole lot of medications, but she believed in food to help with her body and the nutrients it needed. I didn't discover that until later on, but I would remember, particularly when she worked late at night. She'd come home around midnight, but she would always get up early, fix her breakfast, which consisted of the typical breakfast then. I would wake up to smelling of bacon frying in the skillet, and then she would scramble the eggs. I would hear it scramble the eggs, and then would come the toast in the toaster, smelling the bread. She had that almost religiously every single morning, except for in the winter, she would put on a pot of oatmeal. In the refrigerator, we would consistently have beets, sauerkraut, and on the table was a fruit basket. And in that fruit basket would be almost consistently the same pears and bananas. And I would remember those bananas sometimes would want to rot so easily, quickly. And she would still buy them. And she would still buy the pears versus the apples or the oranges. So one day I asked her why those. She was feeding her body the nutrients it needed. Fiber is what she needed in her life because of stress. Fiber came from the pears. It comes from the beets, and it also comes from the sauerkraut. But also, the beets and the sauerkraut help with your digestive system as well. Potassium in the bananas. My mother knew exactly what her body needed, and that's how she got her nutrients, to kind of stave off some of the medications. Even though she was in the medical field, she really did not like taking a lot of medications. So long story short, my mother developed a serious heart disease about 10 years before she was going to retire, maybe 5 years before she was going to retire. Like I said, she really lived a stressful life. She was raising us. My dad had had an accident early on. She was a caregiver for my father, and then she was a caregiver in her professional life. So, at that time, the remedy for her heart disease was a heart transplant. And I must also note that my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother all had the same type of heart disease. But my mother was put on a heart transplant list. They called her up, and I remember saying, no, I have a trip planned. I can't do it right now. So then a couple of months later, they called her again. She again rejected the heart transplant. So I asked my mother, I said, Mom, why are you rejecting the heart transplant? She looked at me and she said, I do not want to be on a heart transplant medications for the rest of my life. That was her mindset change. She knew the medical industry, although very good, and she helped in that. She knew what she did not want for her life. Therefore, she changed her mindset. She decided to do it her way. Subsequently, she retired a little earlier, relieving some of that stress, at least on the professional side. She was still caregiver for my dad. She changed her diet. No longer was she eating the bacon, fried bacon, and the eggs and the toast for breakfast. Fruit and pretty much oatmeal. She became a vegetarian, and back then that wasn't that popular. She pretty much ate plant-based when it wasn't really any plant-based per se. She had a little bit of fish, no red meat, and every now and then she would have chicken. She got into her body movement. Because she worked all those shifts, I don't ever remember her exercising that much, but she started walking. It really helps getting the body movement as well. And she reduced her stress. And she had her food changes and that mindset. All of those, each one of those helped to extend her life. My mother lived 15 more years without that heart transplant and had a fairly active life. And in the end, her last breath was not because of the heart disease. So I say all of that to say we do have a choice in how we live our life, and we do have a choice in how our body functions. Yes, we need medical medicine, but we have choices to make for ourselves to help our health care providers. So I put that out to you, and I challenge you to do the same. Take control of your lifestyle. And that's what we're here to do. So remember those 4 lifestyle changes that can literally help to save your life. Our mindset change, our food choices, getting the body moving, and most of all, reducing that stress, however that looks for you. So until next time, be blessed, stay well, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.